Let's start decorating some Easter eggs. Grab some yarn in any color, and we are going to use some hot glue and start putting it around some plastic eggs that you can get from the dollar store. And really, there's no right or wrong to what you're doing here. You're going to kind of make a design. So I keep adding glue and adding some of my yarn, and I'm starting with the pink yarn, and just add little dabs of glue along the way. I found that you could use a glue and cover the whole piece and then put the yarn on there. The only challenge is then you'll have glue on your fingers, and so I opted to do it with the hot glue. It made it a little more contained with the glue so it didn't mess up your design. So keep going around your egg and adding some of the glue and adding the yarn, and you're going to make a design. Then I grabbed another color and I put that around the top to the bottom, and then I just added more glue and just did the same thing, adding another color. I grabbed white and I put that along the top of the area where I put the orange, and I keep wrapping that around a couple times. And again, there's no right or wrong to this. You're just going to kind of follow whatever you want. It's kind of zen-like when I was doing this. Then I added these kind of curls, so I added one dot in the middle, and I put some yarn around that, kind of swirled that around, and then added more glue as I went around. And you can always add glue after you do this. Just put a little dab right next to it and it would hold it down. And it's kind of cool with the little swirly little flower. And at the end we're going to add a little more to that, but for now it looks pretty cool. And then I just filled in the areas that were left with another color. I used orange right here, filled that in, and then add a little red right there just to add a little more of a color, a little more detail. And they were just little pieces that I put in there. And then I put a little center to that little orange swirl with just adding another little swirl right in the middle, just a tiny bit with some white, just to add a little more color because it was a lot of orange right there, and so I thought that was needed. And really what you're doing in this whole process when you're doing this is it's kind of sculptural, and you're kind of going with it and playing with it, and it's actually really fun. And after we finish this egg, I have a few more different styles that I did that I'm going to show you. Some are really quick and easy, and some take a little more time, but they're really cool, all the different styles. And that one looks really cool. Next one, we're going to take 3 different colors, and we're just cutting them, and I did about 1-inch strips. And we're just going to make little, almost like patchwork on this egg. We're going to take 3 at a time, put a little glue down, and then we're going to just layer those right next to each other. See, and that made one little square. It's almost like a patchwork quilt. Then we do that in another section, and then we add it onto another section and keep going. And even right there, I almost made like a little rainbow on one side, and you just fill that in. And this is so cute. I love the way this one turned out. Next one, I just decided to use just blue and white, and I cut some long strips. They were about, I don't know, 1.5 inches. And I added those in different areas. And then I went across the center and did the same thing, making almost like, it's almost like a ribbon effect, putting it across here. And then I did that in another area. And this one looks cute as can be. And now we're going on number 3. This one I just took some yarn and kind of swirled it back and forth. I did it with 2 colors, an orange and a pink. And this created a wavy zigzag effect with the 2 colors. Then I grabbed some little tiny pieces and made some X's all the way around it just to add a little more detail. This one is my favorite so far, between this one and the patchwork. Next one is literally glue, wrapping colors around your egg. I started with the blue, added some glue, then I went for the next color, added some pink, wrapped that around. Super easy. This is almost like when you're doing a paper mache on a balloon and you wrap it. But this is really cool. Then I used some orange, and this one's totally cute. And this last egg, I just grabbed a pink plastic egg, wrapped a couple times with white yarn and added a little pink bow. I really love the way these turned out. They're colorful, they're festive, they're not traditional pastel colors that I used, although you could use pastel. Really use whatever is your style and fits with your decor, and I hope you guys try this DIY.
Okay, so the supplies that you need are some balloons. I like using these small water balloon size balloons. You can use bigger ones. I'll show you at the end of this video how this craft looks when you use a bigger balloon. So we're just gonna blow up a couple of these balloons. Water balloons are hard to blow up, you guys, but we're gonna do it. Okay, so once we have a balloon blown up, we want it to, not too big, not too small, but we want it to be kind of an egg shaped. That's what we're going for here. So I'm just gonna tie this off. And it's kind of elongated on one end and it kind of looks like an egg. So that's what we're going for. Okay, so we put these aside. The next key ingredient you need is embroidery floss. And I have a beautiful array of colors here. Now all the supplies that I'm using here tonight are listed in the materials list in the description of this video. So you can order these supplies if you don't already have them. They'll be shipped right to your door and you can craft along with me. No need to leave your house. So I picked out some bright colors. For a balloon this size, you really only need one. So I'm gonna use this blue here. We'll put these other colors aside to make some more eggs later. And then the glue, the messy, messy glue that we're using. I have poured just a little bit of glue into a plastic bowl. Glue is water-based, it will wash out. So I've put it in a bowl. Now, it's time to get messy. We're gonna take these ends off of our embroidery floss here and kind of open it up. I found the hardest part of this craft is that sometimes this floss will get tangled. And that's hard to do because your hands are gonna be all covered with glue and it's hard to untangle it. So the embroidery floss is gonna go next to your bowl and you're gonna dip your fingers in that glue, get them all full of glue, and just start to run them down the floss here. So we're not gonna dip the whole thing in the glue, we're just gonna run our fingers down the floss. I've got a little too much glue on this hand, so I'm gonna grab a paper towel, keep some paper towels handy. All right. Now, you're gonna run your glue covered fingers down the floss here, and you're just leaving a little bit left. You're kind of squeegeeing it out as you go. Now we're gonna take our balloon, and I'm gonna hold the top part, and I'm going to hold, I'm not gonna tie, I'm just gonna hold the floss on the top, and I'm gonna start wrapping the balloon in this glue covered floss. And as I reach a dry part of the floss, I'm just gonna dip my fingers in the glue and string it down or squeegee it down again and just keep wrapping. So if you don't mind getting messy, this is a really fun craft to do. Let me know in the comments how you feel about messy crafting, how you feel about getting glue all over your hands. I have tried this with gloves and it just doesn't work as well. The gloves actually get too sticky and you don't want that. So every now and then I need to unwrap the floss a little bit, put a little glue on my fingers, squeegee it down and wrap it around. And the pattern that you're wrapping can be kind of random. You want to just cover the whole balloon because what's going to happen is when this dries, the glue is going to harden on the string or on the floss, and then we're gonna pop the balloon. It's like the best part when you get to pop the balloon. And we're gonna be left with this beautiful egg shape. Now, a couple things I wanna point out. As we're doing this, the balloon gets kind of yucky. There are kind of glue spots all over the balloon. That's okay. You just don't want so much glue that there's like chunks of it. but a little bit from like my fingerprints, that's okay. I'm running the risk of my floss getting a little tangled here, but I think we're gonna be all right. So if you were gonna make one of these, what color would you start with? Tell me what colors you would make with this technique. So we got a little tangle here. We'll just untangle this. There we go. And we just keep going. So it's a fun process. This is a little difficult the first time you do it. You know, you have to figure out exactly how much glue you need to use. But once you get going, it's a lot of fun. It's not that hard. So we're almost done here. Oh, of course, I get one little tangle at the very end there, but that's all right. We can undo this. Nice and smooth. And to end this, I'm just going to kind of push that end piece on top of another string and just let it be. So I've got this sticky little ball of floss here, and now I just need to let it dry. And so I like to use a little jar. I'm just gonna set it on top of there, and I'm gonna walk away, let it dry. Overnight, you know, if you do these tonight, I would let it dry, come back sometime tomorrow in the morning or the afternoon, and we can move on to the next step. So I'm just gonna wipe off my hands here, and I'm gonna show you a couple that are already dry and how they look. All right, so we can move our glue out of the way. And this balloon I have had drying. So this is the one that's wet, the blue one we just did. This pink one is dry. Now for this one, I didn't blow it up quite as much, and it's really taken on that beautiful egg shape, and it's crinkly. So listen to this. That's all that dried glue that's on there, and it's kind of crinkly. The floss is nice and hard. So what I'm going to do, I stuck it in here, is grab a pin, get a safety pin, anything, and I'm gonna pop this balloon. What do you think is gonna happen? What I would love to happen, and I would love to pop this and the whole thing pops and it's done, but typically it's not that exciting. So let's see what happens. Oh my gosh, that sound! I love that sound. This is so cool, you guys. So the balloon is just pulling away from the outside of the string, and it's just shriveling up on the inside. And I can kind of help it along a little bit here. I might use my pin by just poking a few more holes in it, because we want that whole balloon to pull away. I'm gonna hold the end here too. I want that whole balloon to pull away from the floss. Okay. Oh, that actually went way better than I thought it would. Sometimes when you poke this, the balloon will actually come out in pieces. This came out beautifully. All right, so what we have is a little egg. And somewhere, like on here, there is a little bit of dried glue that's still stuck to the embroidery floss that's kind of flaky. Just take my pin and go in there and take it off. But for the most part, look at this gorgeous egg. So the way that I like to decorate with these, put them in a little basket on my table for a centerpiece. So I've got a couple, and then I'll bring this blue one when this one's dry and put that in, and I can just put this on my table for a centerpiece for Easter. How awesome will that be? This one was made with this same water balloon, but I blew it up as big as it could go, and I used yellow and off-white floss on this one. So 2 rolls of embroidery floss on here, just wrapped them all the way around, and I made a bigger one. So you can make these of all different sizes, and then when Easter is over, just store them nicely so they don't get squished, because these are kind of fragile, and you can use these year after year to decorate for Easter. How cute is this, right? Let me show you just a final picture of how these look when everything is dry, so you can see how these look for Easter. So I've got these eggs on my table, all ready to go for Easter. I've just placed them in a little bowl and set them out, and they are gonna go with whatever kind of place setting I have for Easter this year.